Celebrating 30 years of phenomenal trend forecasting. Here's Gerald Celente with today's trends in the news.
Hi, this is Gerald Celente. It's Friday, December 6, 2019, and here are some of today's trends in the news. On the market front, it's a happy day. Yep, up in Asia, up in Europe, up in the States. Gold's down, boom, bada boom, took a hit, silver's down. So what's going on? Oil? Beep. Here we go. The Dow Jones Industrial Average was up 337 points on Friday on the back of U.S. job growth that easily topped analysts. 266,000 jobs were created in November. And the unemployment rate fell to 3.5%, matching the lowest level since 1969. So, the Fed obviously isn't going to raise, or lower, I should say, interest rates, or raise them this month. But things are going to slow down is my forecast. This is temporary. And a lot of the jobs are created because they were the auto strike, and it's the Christmas season, you're hiring people to do jobs. So, the recession, not going to happen, but we're still going to see lower interest rates. And by the way, Trump is saying it. It's the economy, stupid, and that's what's going to get him elected, partially, plus other things. And we're coming out with our top trends for 2020 next week, and one of them is the Trump card and how it's going to be played in the 2020 race for the White House. Yeah, so gold's down 1% because of the strong U.S. job data, and the dollar went up. So the dollar gets stronger, the other currencies get weaker. Gold and other commodities, many of them are dollar-based, petrodollars, oil. So the lower your currency goes, the more it costs you to buy gold. So it's not good for gold right now. And with the markets going up around the world, it doesn't have that safe haven appeal. So what's the deal without the safe haven appeal? Gold goes below $1,450 an ounce. We say it's going to go to about $1,390 and could get worse. Don't think so, though. And oil, oil moved higher as OPEC and its allies agreed to deepen oil production cuts by 500,000 barrels a day, bringing now the total production cut to 1.7 million barrels a day. This is significant because they know there's a slowdown, there's more supply than demand. You know, the markets are going up, but we, the little people, don't feel it. And a poll just came out to show it. The money's only going to the top. The markets are not reflective of the general economies of the world. As we see all of these riots take place around the world, primarily because of income inequality. So here we go. Nearly 2/3 of Americans say this year's record-setting Wall Street rally has done little or no impact on their personal finances. And what's very interesting when you keep looking at this poll, the survey suggests most Americans are not aware of the market movement, with just 40% of respondents correctly saying the stock market had increased in value in 2019. I mention this all because when they say sales are going down, they say, oh, people are worried about the trade wars. They don't know anything of what's going on, and they're getting dumbed down even more. And that's why you subscribe to the Trends Journal and, of course, our podcast to give you what's going on, what it means, and where it's going. Knowledge is power, and you can see the power is not in the minds of the people. Japan unveils a $121 billion stimulus to counter global weakness. The markets are no reflection of what's going on in the world. And as we kept saying, they're going to keep pumping more fiscal stimulus into the markets. They're going to pump. Japan has a debt to GDP ratio of over 250. All right? And now they're going to be pumping more money in. Will it work? It'll push it up a little bit, but it's not going to solve the problem. And China's bumpy road for electric vehicles. Their electric vehicles sales were down 28% last month than a year ago. They cut back also in giving them their bonuses if you buy the car. The government was helping out doing it. What I'm making the point is it's a long way away from electric vehicles. And even in China, the biggest buyer of automobiles in the world, only 2%, 3% tops of all their vehicles are electric. And until the technology improves, it's going on a very slow road. Car makers roll out larger display screens. Look at the size of this. You think there's going to be more accidents on the road? Look how stupid people are getting that you can't even think for themselves anymore. They got to ask everybody in the digital world where they're going, what day it is, whatever it might be. Thinking for yourself is gone. The geeks have inherited the earth. Over 1 million cars to be recalled over new airbag problem. I mention this because we also said not only they're not going to be a big electric car boom, this driverless thing is a hoax. It's not going to happen for a long, long time. They can't even fix the airbags. They got like some 57 million recalls a year. And you're going to have a driverless car? I don't tell you where to put your money, but only speaking for myself, that's not where I would go with it. Global car slowdown at worst since the crisis. The global car market will have shrunk faster in 2019 than at the height of the financial crisis. This is out of the Financial Times. And as I keep saying, automobiles are very important to look at because the biggest expenditure is rent or buying a house and keeping your mortgage going. Number 2 are automobiles. This tells you where things are going, and you take a place like India. For the year, automobile sales, without the bike sales, are down like 25%. It's in your Trends Journal. We've been writing about it. And what else do we have here? Labor shortage curbs U.S. furniture revival. I mention this because there's a chart here that shows there were almost 600,000 jobs in 2000 in the United States building furniture. Now there are under 200,000 jobs. China came into the World Trade Organization in 2001, and you can see the sharp decline. And now it's leveling off a little bit. People want to buy more from their countries, and it's becoming more expensive to make them over there, and they can't find cheaper places to go. And the tariffs are upping the price a little bit. But the other problem is they can't find skilled labor. Because when I was a kid, they used to have shop classes, home economics, and all this other kind of stuff. And now they're saying the older people, they're retiring and they can't find young people to do it. Very interesting. And what else do we have here? FCC, or is it the FUC, you know what, the Federal Communications Commission, says 5G doesn't pose new radiation threats. Yeah, okay. If they say so, then it's not true. You have the stories in your Trends Journal. And also, we've been writing about this. Peter Tochi has been writing about this on top of it. And what's one of your top trends for 2020? High-tech heroin. And this is part of it. So when you look through this article, all they do is they basically promote all the sources that's saying from the government that 5G is okay. But then they put in here also the National Technology Program within the Health and Human Services Department spent decades on a study that centered on exposing animals to radio frequency radiation. The NTF researchers said a year ago that they found, quote, clear evidence that cell phone radiation exposure can cause cancerous heart tumors in male rats. Hey, keep putting those things in your pocket. Yeah, you know it's going to happen to you. You know what? It ain't going to go anywhere. These things are deadly. The research keeps coming out and it keeps getting buried. I don't carry a cell phone. Got an old flip phone that I put in the glove compartment of my car, and that's where I keep it when I travel. I have it with me, so I let them know when I land at the airport what gate I'm at. That's the end of it. And if you don't believe them, they're telling the truth, of course. Now, possible breast cancer risk in hair dye and hair straightener. And when you read these stories and you look at the facts, there's hardly any research being done in what's going on. The mixture of chemicals, again, people are worried about climate change. Forget about it. You're going to be dead before it happens. For decades, scientists have debated whether hair dyes frequently used by women might contribute to cancer. The research has been mixed and inconclusive, but now government investigators have turned up a disturbing new possibility. Black women who regularly use permanent dye to color their hair were 60% more likely to develop breast cancer. And it goes on. Not only black women, again, the hair straightening, on and on. So, why would I believe anything the government says? And look how long it takes them to change their mind about something. And they only do it partially. Okay, on to some global and geopolitical issues. They have that big strike going on in France, started yesterday. They say it's going to go on for a while. Estimated 1.5 million people took to the streets. They're rallying against the new pension reforms that Macron wants to go into. And here's the line. They said Thursday, President Emmanuel Macron again faced what has become an emblem of his presidency, social unrest. It's going global. It's in your Trends Journal. It's the New World Disorder. This is only part of it. It's one of the top trends for 2020. War. The propaganda in this piece, I can't go into it enough because we don't have enough time, but it's from the toilet paper of record. Iran is secretly moving missiles into Iraq. And you know who says so? A U.S. official. Yeah, an official piece of crap. These are the same officials that told us Iraq had WMDs and ties to Al-Qaeda. These are the same officials, as you read this article, they blame Iran for sabotaging ships in the Persian Gulf earlier this year without any evidence. They blame Iran for the drone attack onto Saudi oil fields without any evidence. So all this is another propaganda piece. The buildup comes as the United States has rebuilt its military presence in the Middle East to counter emerging threats to American interests. What interests do you have over there? You don't have any interests. I'm an American. Who are you people to tell me what your interests are? My interests are America. Oh no, Celente, you dope. Our interests are oil and power. Oil, power. Against what this country was founded upon. And I launched Occupy Peace. And if you people don't make Occupy Peace happen, we're going to be occupying war. It's evil. And that's what this is. So it's either peace or evil. Because you can see where they're leading us. And we're going to be writing a lot more in the Trends Journal about this. And you keep putting the pieces together. Netanyahu meets Pompeo over unrest. And you know where the unrest is? With Iran. And an Israeli wish list. And the wish, of course, is that Netanyahu could put together a coalition. And he can't. They may have a third election coming up. And here's what Netanyahu says. The first subject raised is Iran. The second subject is Iran. And so is the third and many more, end quote. Iran's aggression is growing, but its empire is tottering, Mr. Netanyahu said. And I say, let's make it totter even further. Let's make it totter even further. Let's take action against a country that you already have by killing their people in Syria, but it's okay. It's the American and Israeli way. Again, U.S. sending 14,000 troops to Mideast to counter Iran threat. Mental health issues start before combat. And putting this all together, we need peace. The people that are signing up don't come from the highest economic strata. And the results are shown over here. A 2014 paper showed that Army studies showed that 77% of the soldiers in the service reported having some sort of mental health issue before enlistment. And then they go on to say how emphasis that combat stress remains a singularly traumatic event for many in the military service. Traumatic event. For what? For losing wars. I say bring back the draft. Bring back the draft, and then you'll see these wars end right away. That could be another part of Occupy Peace. Yeah, because they'll never bring back the draft. Just send the poor people to go do your dirty deeds. These are sick people, the people that are running the governments that are starting these wars. Peace deal wouldn't halt Afghanistan's need for foreign aid. So now they're saying that the World Bank is warned that the war-stricken country will still require billions of dollars of international aid. 18 years of expansive American and NATO military presence marked by the inefficient funneling of billions of dollars has shaped an economy almost entirely dependent on foreign aid. By the way, I forecast we'll have a peace treaty with Afghanistan before the presidential election in 2020 because Trump has to do what he wants to win. And speaking of war and hate, there was a story, captive of CIA sketched agony of his torture. And you read this, how disgusting it is. And it's legal in this country. We're only going to continue to go down without peace. War is evil. We have to stop this. Look what they're doing. Occupy peace. And, again, one of our top trends for 2020 is high-tech heroin. And people are so addicted to their things, they're having trouble sleeping at night. All the other problems as well. Morning madness. Average adult wakes up grumpy 300 days a year. Yep. They wake up in a bad mood 300 times. Could you imagine that? Again, you have to be in a state of peace. You can't be happy if everything's going down. And California appoints homelessness advisor fired by Trump. Like that's going to help. The homeless problem, it's one of your top trends for 2020. But there's good things as well. They're coming out next week. This is Gerald Celente, and that's some of today's trends in the news.